Okay, so how does my culture influence my views of the world? So the first one I talked about was one that was more relevant in my child, or like kind of started from my childhood, and that was like the value of working hard for everything that I like wanted. So growing up, like if I wanted something, I had to like find odd jobs to earn the money. I had to like my parents like never gave anything to me, right? Like so when I wanted a phone, I had to earn the money and like be able to pay for my phone myself. Same for like when I was doing sports. Like I had to like for the most part like work to get everything I wanted. And I feel like that's really like carried me through my life of like working really hard. Like even like right now, right? I'm in school full time, I'm working full time and
Right.
taking care of my family. It's just like I'm always like working really hard. And I think that shapes the way I see the world. I don't know. I feel like I like really value people who work really hard, and I don't like negatively view people who like just kind of, I'm trying to think of the right word, like just like get things kind of handed to them. I don't view them negatively in any way, but I do find like the value and connection in people who work really hard for the things that they have. And let's just share how these, yeah, how these impact the way you see the world, and then how these could benefit or hinder a therapeutic relationship. I feel like so this is like if I was a like a client, if I was a client. What is kind of question C? I'm a little confused about it.
What's that?
Question C, I'm a little confused about how to answer it.
um how how would your how would uh how would that cultural belief benefit like a therapeutic relationship? So like you understand the importance of grinding, like working hard for something. So I don't know, that might help you persevere during a
Got it. That makes sense.
during a
Okay.
challenging moment.
Yeah. So like, yeah, being able to work through hard things and then just understanding, like, right. It's almost like kind of almost like with your like real self and ideal self. Like I understand to get to like my ideal self, like I have to work hard and put in the effort and do whatever it takes.
Right.
Yes, that's my first one.
Okay. So for me, one of the first aspects that I identified about myself or of my culture is going to be my rural background. Growing up, I engaged in a lot of like hard blue collar work. I picked cherries. I worked in a stag room. I changed water. My family had like a 52-acre hay field, sometimes a wheat field. So we would do things of that nature. In the summer times, I was always changing water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that helped me develop a strong work ethic that really taught me because I, like you said, I wasn't really handing anything. All of
Right.
the money I ever made was from working it at home or working in the stag rooms or picking
Mm-hmm.
cherries or something like that. Um, and then I don't know, my rural background. I feel like it made my family very conservative, not in a political sense, but in the sense that you should conserve any resource that
Mm-hmm.
you have, and you shouldn't really take things for granted.
Yeah.
So that's kind of um, that has kind of that's really affected the way I see the world. But I think that those cultural or yeah cultural beliefs um, could benefit a therapeutic relationship by, like I mentioned, having a strong work ethic could help me persevere during a challenging intervention. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it might keep me motivated to keep pursuing progress for my client. Um, but I don't think it would be wise of me to hold those standards to other people. I think that's how it could hinder a therapeutic relationship. If I was to be like, oh, well, you're this way because of your decisions and you're not working hard enough, that I don't think that would be pretty detrimental to the therapeutic relationship,
Yeah.
I think. Um, but yeah, that's what I have for that one.
Exactly.
We're at
That's
like
kind of a
five.
little bit similar. What was
Yeah,
that?
we're at like 5 minutes too.
Okay,
Just
cool. Sweet. So my second one is a cultural value of mine is just being very accepting of others. Even if it's like in a way, even if it's like someone who like society would deem as like not the norm. So for me, that shapes how I see the world. I feel like I'm very like accepting of others. Don't I like focus on the person's like core and who they are as a person, not like the decisions that I make. Like, right, if you're gonna be gay or lesbian or like transgender, like I don't like I'm not in any way judging someone for that. I'm very accepting of people how they are, and I look at just like the core of themselves as who they are. And yeah. And then I feel like in a therapeutic relationship, for me, it would just like um I'm very right, non-judgmental, see people how they are. I think that's like a really big strength in being able to work with a lot of different people and like understanding other people's like beliefs and backgrounds and opinions. I think in some ways it could hinder me though, because like I feel like I would probably have like a bias if I'm like with someone who like doesn't have those values or like discriminates against different people. That'd make things hard.
Yeah, I could see how like it's kind of it's moral to think that way, but at the same time, and might not be beneficial for a particular
Right.
person. Um, were you done with that one?
Yeah.
So the second one, a second aspect of my culture that I identified was strong community ties. This impacts the way I see the world because I value having a close-knit relationship with my community, family members, like my family's friends and whatnot. I think having a relationship, feeling like you're in the community is very beneficial. I think that people should strive to be a part of their community because I think it helps people feel a sense of belonging. And then I think that could both benefit and hinder a therapeutic relationship because, well, number one, behavioral activation, like
Mhm.
it's part of CBT, but having a sense of community can be beneficial. Things like behavioral activation are there because acting in your community can help you feel better. Um, but I think that it could be detrimental because the way I might see community ties might be different for another person. Like how I mentioned, I grew up in a like a rural
Right.
area, close knit community. Somebody who grew up in a bigger in a metropolitan area could have a hard time finding a sense of community in such a
Right.
large place. They might
Mhm.
find a sense of community in like a smaller group, like a church group or a group that goes to the YMCA, you know. Like
Right.
I shouldn't expect somebody to have um close ties with everybody in their
Like the whole
community.
town. Yeah, like the whole
Yeah,
community. Yeah.
exactly. They might find the same satisfaction in a smaller group.
Right. Makes
But yeah,
sense.
if I was to force that opinion that you know you should feel that way about everybody, I feel like that could be pretty detrimental to a therapy.
Yeah.
And then I think that's all I have for that one.
Oh, I like that. My third one has to do with like parental roles. So I my like cultural value is that I think that like I value like fluid parental roles, um, but not in the way where like I view like the stereotypical roles as wrong, because in my family we do a lot of those like typical stereotypical roles. Like I do most of the like taking care of the kids, and my husband makes more money
Mhm.
and deals with finances more than me. What I value is not being stuck in that. So like if there's a point where like I'm in a job, like it doesn't always like his job doesn't need to always be like more important than mine, or like I'm the only one taking care of the kids and cleaning the house.
Mhm.
um so it's not like I like don't believe in like don't agree with the rules. I just like there should be freedom within each family to like set those rules themselves and not
Right.
be and it not be the expectation. Like when I was younger, I was like, I do not want to like have that typical like stereotypical like family system. even though that's kind of how it is right now, and I'm totally okay with it. And I love my family and I'm happy where I'm at. I don't feel stuck in that way where like we can't change
Right.
it. That's a really important value for me. And I think that's just really important because, and like in how I see the world, where else am I going? I lost my train of thought. Like in the therapeutic relationship is I understand like family systems who have that role. Like that's how I grew up in and I understand it. But I also feel like I would have like knowledge and being able to like benefit a family who wants to like kind of break out of those rules or not be like stuck in that system.
Yeah, I think that there is value within the nuclear family, but I don't think it's always optimal for everybody. I think that having what would the term be? Untraditional.
Yeah.
Like roles is fine and is sometimes more optimal than if they were traditional, especially with women being in the workforce because those roles were developed before women were in the
Exactly.
workforce.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't mind it. I like doing those things. I like, not like I like cleaning the house, but I like, being in charge of the house and taking care of the kids. I just know that I wouldn't want to feel like stuck in that position.
That's really similar to the last one that I chose for myself because I chose the nuclear family because I grew up in a nuclear family. I would
Right.
consider that part of my culture, having the traditional mom and then the traditional dad. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was probably until my youngest brother was like probably 5 or 6 years old, and then I would have been like 12. That's when she started working again. But I would consider and like there was the stereotypical gender roles like my dad was the breadwinner. He provided for like me and the family. I he set the I don't know. He for me was the example of like what a man should be. Like a man should provide for his family if he has a
Yeah.
family. Take care of the family. Be the authoritative figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom wasn't much of an authoritative figure. Like she was, but when it came time to punishment, my dad was
Right.
there to be the
There's a
authoritative.
difference. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, in my opinion, I know that's not the same for everybody. Not everybody grows up in a nuclear family, but I value that. I think that there are aspects of a nuclear family that can be beneficial. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of research that I shouldn't say there's a lot of research, but I understand the importance of having an authoritative figure in the home. And I think that that might help me resonate with other people who grew up in a nuclear family with an authoritative figure like my dad. I think that might help me build a positive therapeutic relationship with one person. But for other people that didn't grow up in that same environment, I think it would be wrong of me to force my opinions on them. Like, hey, come on, bro, you're a father, you got to support for your family,
Right.
because that might not always be the case for everybody.
Right.
Somebody might be a single mother, or there might be a single dad situation where the dad is responsible for both roles, or the mother is responsible for both roles.
Right. Their cultural value could be different.
Exactly. So I just don't think it would be wise of me to give them value based off of their accomplishments or lack of accomplishments
Right.
in the profession or in the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Or yeah, the parental roles could look dramatically different just because they don't look like my ideal parental roles. That doesn't
Right.
mean that's
Yes.
kind of a bias that I have to be aware of if I want a good therapeutic relationship.
Yeah.
So did that make sense?
Yeah, no, it did. I like that. Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny because it's like not the same as mine, but I feel like the same kind of like values there and opinions are the same.
And then did you have one more? Did you go over all of them?
That was all mine.
That was all yours?
Yeah.
Okay, let's discuss how our culture would influence us as a mental health or as a mental health therapist. So I think that like my cultural background is part of the reason why I enjoy cognitive behavioral therapy so much. I think that's why it resonates with me a lot because it's has a lot to do with taking accountability for your own actions, changing the way you think, setting goals, accomplishing goals, moving forward, making new goals. I think that's why cognitive behavioral therapy really resonates with me, is because the response, like, of course there's going to be a therapist there to help you, but the responsibility is, if you want to
Yeah.
change, you have to change yourself, kind of deal.
Yeah.
um but I think it would be important for me to understand that people are not going to have the same ideas as me, and people are not always going to be willing to take accountability for their actions or the behaviors or their thoughts. So I got to be aware that some people might not be willing to change. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some people might not think the same way as me.
Right. Yeah, mine was very, I actually said like a lot of the same similar stuff. I feel like in therapy, like I really value the importance of, like in CBT, like I can teach like the skills, we can like show you the skills, but that person is going to need to go home and like actually work on those skills and put in the work into themselves to get better. And so like I really value that. And then yeah, I feel like it just, for me, like a benefit would from my cultural influence would be just that, like I had mentioned earlier, I'm very like non-judgmental. I accept people for how they are. Um, but like on, I guess part of the one thing that would be hard with that is that since I do really like focus on people and their core and like how they are on the inside, then I feel like I could have trouble working with people who like aren't like genuinely kind and like have those values. And then like people who like don't like people who are against people like of the LGBT community and like trans community and things like that.
Yeah, like it's good to think that way, but when another person thinks another way, it's not going to be wise to judge them for the way they think. You know what I mean? It's kind of something
Right,
that you
exactly.
decide. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, for me, I don't know. I think that just personal responsibility is a big thing for me. I think that's why I think that cultural belief would influence the way I do therapy the most. Is I would try and convince people to take responsibility for their own actions. I think that's why I'm so infatuated with cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, no, I
Kind of
completely
similar to what
agree.
you're saying.
What was that?
Kind of similar to what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And I think another, when I was writing about my second one, which one did I do for that? I don't know if it was first or second one. Oh yeah, so about like working really hard for everything that you have. When it comes to like if I was a like mental health therapist, it
Mm.
reminded me of one of the concepts in Glasser's therapy, which was one of the things that he does is he has his patients do the like basic needs assessment, which is like the survival, freedom, fun. I forgot the other ones. Family, or is it like love and relationships or something like that?
Yeah,
And I
love
feel like
relationships, religion.
because I've like spent so many years like working really hard for everything I have and being so busy that being able to provide like help in like the freedom and fun area, like how do you balance everything on your plate because you're working so hard with still making sure that you're finding ways to like enjoy life and things like that.
Hmm. It's a balancing act.
Mm-hmm. Really is.
Sweet. So we answered all the questions. Do you think we spent enough time with them?
I think so. I feel like this because this paper was or these questions were a little bit different. It's a different
Yeah.
conversation. So I think so.
Yeah, it is a different conversation.
Do you have anything else to add? Just when it
No,
comes to like
I don't
values?
know. I think so. I think I'm good. I hope I answered all of the questions adequately.
Cool. Yeah, me too. I don't have anything else.
Me either.